All right, this is part 2 of the Miata hardtop painting. I did the primer, been a couple days, just sanded the top with 400 and fixed a couple spots. Right now I'm just gonna clean it and wipe it down, tack it off, and shoot it with the paint. I've already mixed my paint, so the clock's ticking. It's about 82 out here, so I need to do this quick before it gets much hotter. It's gonna be hot today. All right. Let's do it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hold on a second. Wow. Hey, you guys. The single stage, I don't know how well you guys can see that, and it's hard for the camera to focus. Let me see if I can go over on this side. But the sparkle looks pretty good. I'm impressed with the single stage. I'm also a little depressed because you guys didn't see this part, but I was cleaning up in the back when I was doing the clear coat, and I knocked over my can of paint, and I didn't have the top on super tight, and it spilled. And I spilled probably 80% of what was left in there. So there's $100, and I just left it because I'll clean it up when it's dry. But anyway, that's just my bad, being a kind of a sloppy worker. But I'm pretty happy with this paint. I might just go back and get more. So yeah, I don't know if that's really translating to you guys, but it looks good. The sparkle looks great. I couldn't really see it in the shade, but you can kind of see, hopefully you can see in here, all the mica or whatever they use. Man, I'm encouraged. I think it looks great. There were bugs. There were some little glitches. There's some little doodads here and there, but actually the sparkle kind of covers it up a little bit. So, and also I had a little accident down here where the paper flipped up because it was kind of windy, and then it broke through the clear and blah, blah, blah. So I have a boo-boo over there, you know, but that's the way it is working outside in your front yard with your high-tech equipment. I think it's 1,000% better. So we'll peel all the tape and masking off and see if we can get it back on the car. But I've got the really slow reducer working because it's like 93 degrees right now. But I think it's all gassed out by now. I've waited about half an hour between clear coats. And so I think it's all gassed out. I'm just going to let it bake in the sun all day. Probably put this back on tomorrow, and I'll check back with you guys then. It's the next day. It was like 100 degrees out here yesterday, so this clear coat baked really well in the sun, and I just got done going over it with a DA sander. I'm wet sanding with a 400 grit, starting with soapy water, and yeah, I just hit the whole top. It's all got all the orange peel off. There's still a couple little, you know, tiny imperfections, just because, like I said, there's bugs, or there was a couple little pits here and there, but whatever. This is great. So I got the sides done, stayed away from the edges here, but just did the back. I had a little drip over here, and I'm trying to get that out, but you know, again, this is all little stuff. But remember, so I had that fingernail gash here. I fixed it with a primer. Everything's totally smooth. So what I'm doing now before I go up to the higher grits is the back window. Hello. The back window has a lot of water spots on it, hard water spots. So what I'm doing is I'm using this putty, and what you guys can do is, if you want to super clean your glass, I can't do this with one hand really, but anyway, you flatten this out a bit. You got to keep this stuff clean though. If you drop it, throw it out. If you drop it on the ground. And this is, I think they call it miracle putty or something, but you just go over the glass with this putty like this, give it a few passes, and just press like that, and it will pick up all of your your hard water spots. It'll get out anything that's on the glass. And believe me, if you've been cleaning your glass with just glass cleaner, it's not as clean as if you use this stuff. You'll be amazed. And you can use this on the car body as well. It's a good idea to do this before you cut and buff, before you start doing any kind of machine polishing, because you can just grind dirt into your paint or your finish if you don't super clean it. So I would recommend doing the putty before you're gonna do like a paint correction or anything like that. So I'm just going over this back to get those hard water spots off. I'm gonna keep going, you know, go up to a couple thousand grit with this, and then we'll cut and buff. All right, guys, it's taken down to 2,500 on the DA. It's already got a little bit of shine to it. Next step is the foam pad, the purple pad, and this stuff with the polisher. So I'm gonna cut, and then we're gonna buff. Okay, well, I have progress, but then I also have this, which looks like a gassing out issue. I didn't see that, but then I sanded, you know, I started cutting, and I saw this sort of cloud form. I've got a little bit over here. That's a bummer. Can you guys see that, like right in here? And there's a little here, little patch. You see that? So I don't really know what to do about that. I mean, it was shining up nice, but now I got to go in and do a little research. There might not be anything I can do about that at this point. It looks like there's just these pits that you get when the layers don't gas out completely. But I waited 20 minutes. I waited over 20 minutes between clear coats yesterday. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's yeah, I'm seeing a lot of those little white specks. I think it's the gas, the air bubbles, or whatever it is. I don't know the correct paint term for it. Cloudiness. So, you know, I was hoping this would go off without a hitch, but it looks like it looks like I'm gonna have a little bit of cloudiness on the new finish. But it's way better than the old, but I know I keep saying that, but that kind of sucks. I'm not really sure how to fix that, or if I can right now. I'm going to finish up, do the best I can. I'll show you guys what I end up with and what I learned. All right, guys. So this is all I'm going to do for now. I just did a hand glaze. As far as the polish and everything and the wet sanding, everything, that all went great. Window cleaned up, chrome cleaned up. I will address one thing before I tell you about the bad stuff, and that is, some of you may have noticed this. There was already paint on the rubber here, so I just went ahead and taped along the existing paint line, and then some of it came off. So this little schmutzy line here is on the rubber, and I will either go over it with some black to blend it in, or I'll just pick it off or somehow get it off. Not much I can do about that with a quick job. So there are some little spots where, you know, like here, looks kind of bad, but I just can't spend a lot of time on this right now. So the bad news is that it does look like I did get a little bit of gas out issues. The, you know, the gases in the clear, see right here, made a little bit of cloudiness, but it did get better. There's definitely some right here, probably because I had a problem spot here, and I might have just, and this is a tip for you guys, if you're clearing, you've got to let the stuff gas out. If you spray clear and then 5 minutes later you do another pass, it's going to lock in. The gases that basically in your reducer are not going to be able to escape, and they get trapped in there, and that's what happens. And I know because I've done that before. But let me show you guys in the sun, because I think all of that's going to vanish when the sun comes, when we look at it in the sun. So be right back. Okay, guys, here's the top back on the car. What do you think of the color match? I'm pretty happy with it, given that I just bought a little pint of paint and just slapped it on here. I mean, it's pretty close. I don't know if, you know, unless you knew, it's a little darker maybe, a little different. And of course I still have the cloudiness, which I'm gonna try to address. It's kind of a bummer, but I think it might have been due to heat in the buffing actually, because why would it be cloudy here and not over here if it was actually the way I put the clear coat on? But that's another issue for another day. I'm pretty happy with the way this project turned out. It was a couple half days of work, and now the top doesn't look terrible. It looks pretty good, not perfect. See, this paint is faded up here a little on the top, which is you would expect. So it does, of course, it's much lighter, but down in this area, I mean, it's almost exact. Looks pretty darn close. And the texture, the pearl effect, you know, similar to the rest of the car. I'm happy with it. All right, guys, that's gonna end this video. Thanks for watching. Hope this has been helpful. If you have any tips for me on how to get this, I guess they call it, what do they call it? Gas pop or something, or solvent pop. I don't know if that's what it is. It might just be overheating during buffing or something, but if I can get that out, I will. If not, that's the way it looks. All right, see you guys later. Next chapter on this car will be the hood and the trunk lid, but that's a little bit ways away. All right, see ya.